originated from, and if we need to take any precautions against it in the future. Good morning, Michelle. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Let's start with this week's tremor. Where was the epicenter of this tremor, and why was it, and was it that big?
Yes, it was about 30 kilometers southeast of Bela Bela, and it was a magnitude of 4 as well. So it's quite a decent sized one. We've recorded events in that area before in the past, but they've usually been of magnitudes 2s and 3s. So this magnitude of 4 has been bigger than the one we've had in the past.
Should people be scared? Is there a possibility of a bigger tremor than the 4 we've seen on the Richter scale hitting the northern parts of the country?
Like I said, we've had the earthquakes happen in that area before, so rule of thumb is they're going to happen again. Magnitude 4 is not too big. South Africa is in a stable continental region, so we expect small to moderate seismicity. So magnitude 4 is what we'd call a moderate event. So we could probably expect more in the future of this size, but we're probably not much bigger though.
Just, I think a lot of people are taken by surprise a little bit by it. How often do earthquakes, or does earthquakes occur like this occur in South Africa?
In a year, it's approximately 5. Plus minus 5 per year, above 4, magnitude 4, that we record in the country. A couple of years ago, in fact, we had a lot of seismicity in the Grabis area, which we call an earthquake swarm, and then we recorded actually more than 5 in the year. But on general, it's about 5 above magnitude 4 in a year.
Okay, so people shouldn't be too alarmed if there's one or two that they feel every year. I wanted to ask you about Johannesburg in particular, and what effect the mines and the mine shafts all around the city, what effect that has on this kind of seismic activity.
Well, what we suspect has happened on the 18th of November is that all those abandoned mines we now know are filling up with water, and this is now lubricating those faults again. So we suspect, and it's causing what we call fluid-induced seismicity. So that's what we suspect happened on the 18th of November, is that it was a fluid-induced earthquake that happened there. However, in Bela Bela, we don't believe it's the same mechanism there. We're not quite sure what happened there, what has caused there, so we've sent out a team to go and investigate, to ask people more questions and get more information to see if there's any telltale signs about what could have been one of the reasons to cause this earthquake.
We're not really on a fault line here in South Africa, but what is the sort of worst case scenario and how can people prepare for that kind of thing?
Yeah, that's very difficult to determine what the worst case scenario is. We've had, for instance, in 1969 in Ceres Tilbach, we had a 6.3, which was quite damaging for that time in that time. So that's the sort of things that we can expect. We do have fault lines, not huge ones, but we do have fault lines that can trigger earthquakes, and there is still seismicity around Ceres, and there's a couple of hotspots around the country as well. And the best advice I could perhaps give somebody is that if they do feel threatened, if their lives do feel threatened, they must take the necessary precautions, such as if they're indoors, getting underneath a table or something a bit more solid in case there's anything coming from the ceiling, or if they're outside, to rather stand away from anything that could fall on top of them. So those are the normal precautions one should take if you feel threatened.
Michelle, finally, is there any way that in future we'd be able to predict these kind of events in South Africa?
That is something that every seismologist around the world would love to do. Everybody, especially the Japanese and the Americans, are really working on how to predict earthquakes. Unfortunately, at this moment in time, we don't understand enough of the Earth's crust to be able to predict earthquakes at this moment in time.
Well, I suppose let's hope we are not in for a nasty surprise then here in South Africa. But thank you, Michelle Grobbelaar, for joining us this morning. This after, of course, the tremors that touched us here in Johannesburg in the last couple of weeks and had everybody worrying. That was 4-pointer on the Richter scale, and Michelle Grobbelaar tells us that we shouldn't expect much more than that, as it's completely out of the ordinary, but we do get around 5 earthquakes every year in South Africa.